What is up, guys? ShadowNinja here to talk about the new Star Wars Battlefront gameplay we currently saw today, August 20th at Gamescom. The live stream came out, saw it, a lot of stuff I liked, some stuff I didn't like. Commentators sucked. I don't know what it is recently with these conferences, but the commentators are feeling like they're going off script. There's no energy, but that's not even what I'm here to talk about. So, first things first, Star Wars Battlefront, the Starfighter gameplay is looking fantastic. Just as good as the trailer. The graphics are phenomenal. The new class system is very interesting. Gonna break that down a little bit shortly. The map, a little disappointed that they showed Fondor. I mean, I like what I saw, but the era, the original trilogy, is something we've seen pretty much all of last Battlefront game. There was no Clone Wars, there's no sequel trilogy, so there's nothing new on that front. Now, the heroes were great, their abilities were great. I have a few issues with why they pop up in certain eras and the amount we're likely gonna get, but that is what it is. So I'm gonna shut up and break down the class system. So pretty much as what we're aware from the Gamescom live stream, there's three classes. We got the Interceptor class, we got the Bomber class, and they didn't really show the actual word of it, but there's apparently a Balance class. I know in the live stream it didn't really say Balance, it said either Bomber or Interceptor. So the Interceptors are pretty much the A-Wings, and I believe the TIE Fighters, I'm not really sure, they didn't really tell us. They said the TIE Fighters are the Balance class, but there's also a TIE Interceptor. I expect to do the same as an X-Wing, so that is that, but I'm gonna go with the TIE Fighter is the Interceptor along with the A-Wing. So the A-Wing this time is described as a fast, fragile vehicle. Same thing with the TIE Fighter. The Interceptor class is meant to be fast, it can pack a little bit of a punch, and they're fragile. So they're easy to take out, I guess you could say. Their armor isn't as much as the Bomber or the Balance class. So basically these guys are gonna be the ones fighting in the air, the dog fighters, solely dog fighting. They ain't really gonna be playing the objective. Now the Balance class is the X-Wing and the TIE Interceptor. This class is basically the in-between the Bomber and the Interceptor. Now I'm going to go over the Bomber so you kind of understand what the Bomber does. The Bomber class is basically the objective playing class. These guys are the TIE Bombers and the Y-Wings. These are solely the ones that have the most punch, but however they are pretty slow. So that being said, the Balance class is the in-between. The X-Wing and the TIE Interceptor basically are the ones that do both. They're pretty well dogfighting and they're pretty well with the objective. Now they're not the best in that category, but they can hold their own. So basically I'm loving this new mode, the Starfighter Assault. It's looking great. It's a pretty much expanded upon version of the Battle Station we saw in the Death Star DLC in the first Battlefront game. Now Battle Station was both a blend of air and ground combat, so it's interesting that we're not going to be seeing that in Starfighter Assault, but I also like that. Starfighter Assault, by the name, it's going to focus on the air combat, the space combat, and for what we see with the mechanics, it's looking great. Now the new mode basically has three phases, four kind of, but I'm gonna go with three. So the first phase, the rebels basically have to destroy the facility's defense systems, so the Empire must defend their defenses. Now once the rebels complete this task, if they complete it, we move on to phase 2. However, there is a ticket-based system now. So in Battle Station, it was a bit different. So we were timed in Battle Station. There was about a 10 to 12 minute timer. Basically, the rebels had 10 to 12 minutes to complete this task. The problem with this system though is that there is no flaw with dying. You say you have unlimited lives, you can keep pounding the objective, and basically in the first wave it was almost impossible for the Empire to win. I know when I played I never really won as the Empire in the first phase of Battle Station. So the great thing about this system is that they took it from the Battlefield franchise, a franchise I love a lot. So in this situation the attackers have tickets. Every time they respawn or die, they lose a ticket. So if you respawn, die, you lose one ticket, and it moves on. There's no timer. Basically, the rebels got to use their times wisely. So if the Empire is out there killing people, they get rewarded for that. If the rebels are killing people and they complete their objective, they're also rewarded with that. So I'm not 100% sure if these tickets carry over into the next phase. I don't think so, but maybe it could. I didn't really notice anything. So now phase 2 is basically kind of similar, except it's more focused in a certain area of the map. So there's this tunnel. The rebels have to fly through and destroy 4 generators. Obviously the Imperials have to defend it. Now what's cool about this part is that in the live stream we saw a lot of the hero pickups. So we saw Darth Maul's ship, we saw the Millennium Falcon, we saw Slave 1, and we saw Black 1, which is Poe Dameron's X-Wing. So here we got to see a variety of what the ships can do. So basically the big thing about Darth Maul's ship is that it can go invisible. So, and the crazy part is that when you watch the live stream, you don't really notice it even as a player. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know how OP that's going to be. I didn't really see Darth Maul shoot while he was cloaked, but I think he did lock with the iron torpedo. Not 100% sure. Now the Millennium Falcon is pretty much the same thing it did in last Battlefront, except this time looks like it's not as clunky and the controls feel way better. So that's a good sight. Now Poe Dameron's X-Wing on the other hand, I'm loving. It's very true to what we saw in Force Awakens above I think the planet was called Takadana and Maz Kanata's castle. Above when Finn's running and he's looking who's that X-Wing pilot, he's really good. He said that whole quote and you see this black X-Wing tearing everything up. Well, that was Poe, and his abilities really suit that. He has a hard-hitting blaster with a default blaster with his gun or with his X-Wing already. BB-8 was there. I don't know if he instantly repairs. I don't know how the whole regen system goes with the vehicle, so I'm not going to really talk about that. Now, the good thing about Slave 1 is that it looks like I'm actually very interested to play this Slave 1. Reason for that is that we get sonar charges. If you don't know what these are pretty much the coolest sounding weaponry in Star Wars history. I'm so happy they added this to the game. Now I'm pretty much going to be spamming this because I want the whole game to sound like this. But yeah, sonar charges. So in phase 2 we saw get used perfectly. They dropped a sonar charge and it does massive damage, even taking out vehicles in that close area. Now there's no friendly fire, so obviously the TIE fighters were perfectly fine. Problem with this though is that we didn't get much talk about other heroes. Now there were 3 heroes technically in this reveal that we didn't really see gameplay, but we see them in the trailer. We got Yoda, we have Red 5 Luke Skywalker, and we have Darth Vader. But besides that, there's pretty much no talk about other heroes in the game. I'm assuming Rey flies the Millennium Falcon in the sequel trilogy version of the Millennium Falcon, so I'm not sure what abilities she's gonna have. Not sure if Chewbacca's gonna be her co-pilot or it'll be Finn. Not 100% sure, but besides that, pretty much there was no talk of any other heroes, and that kind of got me a little sad. See, now I'm a sucker for the game being as authentic to the movies and eras as possible, so I'm not a big fan of this potential cross-era hero system. I'd rather Darth Maul stay in the Clone Wars, Luke Skywalker stay in the original trilogy, bring his sequel trilogy skin to the sequel trilogy era, but that's pretty much it. I'm not a fan of all this cross-Rey battling Darth Maul. That's not what I'm accustomed to. I hope that's on the game. There is no talk about that, unfortunately, which is quite disappointing, but we'll see. And in phase 3, basically all you have to do is destroy the power coupling, attack the power generator that's located on the bottom of the Star Destroyer. Once you do that, either the Rebels win or the Imperials win. So pretty much though, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is moving a lot better than Star Wars Battlefront 1 was. There's a lot more content and they are listening to the fan base. EA Battlefront 1 lacked a lot of content. It was a little bit dry, dull, but the action was there. I enjoyed it a lot, but I wish there was more. Now we are getting that content here in Battlefront 2, but I feel like they're again selling us short and trying to throw in DLC in our face with these new heroes. It's like, can we get all of it at the same time? And here's an idea I want to throw around. I think that all what we see in the movies and those heroes from those movies should be in the game. So in the Clone Wars era, let's see Mace Windu, let's see Yoda, let's see Anakin Skywalker, let's see Obi-Wan Kenobi, maybe Qui-Gon Jinn from the first movie, who knows, but you can throw that in as DLC. Now I know DLC is free, but I feel like what we see in the movies should be in the game, because as a casual fan, I believe a casual fan will probably get this game because it looks cool to the movies. Now DLC is free, and I feel like it'd be more of a service not only to the hardcore audience, hardcore Star Wars fans of this game and all that, to do DLC with the novelizations and the comic books, but I feel like doing that would be way better than saving these movie characters, because I feel like you're selling short the people that go out their way with the canon. If I was a casual fan, I'll be upset if the developer doesn't want to put everyone in the game because they want to wait for another time. And doing that will throw me off. So basically in Battlefront 1 there wasn't a lot of stuff, a lot of people hopped off. And then that's when DLC came, the free DLC. They were never able to regain that player base they once had when the game launched. So hopefully I am so wrong about this. I'm praying I'm wrong. We get a ton of heroes from the movies in this game. That's really all I want. I'm not worried about no Clone Wars TV show or Rebels TV show or Lords of the Sith novel or Catalyst novel or Aftermath novel. I'm not worried about any of those characters in those stories. I just want what we see in the movies in the game from the start. Then from there, the DLC, the free DLC, I think would be better off served to the whole community as stuff from the novels, comic books, etc. Now that's pretty much all I got for this one. I know I went on a little bit of a rant sort of with the heroes at the end of this video, but trust me, I am really hyped up for this game. This is honestly one of my most anticipated games of the year. When it comes to Call of Duty, Destiny 2, this is #1 by far. It's not because I'm a Star Wars fan. It's also because this game is looking remarkable just as a game itself. That's pretty much all I got for this one. So if you guys like what you saw, learned something new, or just plain old know, excited for this game, please drop this video a like. It'd be greatly appreciated. And if you aren't subscribed already, please do that. I'll appreciate that even more. That's all I got for this one. ShadowNinja here, and may the force be with you always.